people engaged. So luckily we
Yeah.
have Sasha Stair hosting today. I'm along for the ride this time, but I would like you guys to engage. This is a live show. We, take time out of our schedules, as has Sasha and Mickey, to give you some value and some ideas, and we'd love you to engage, meaning in chat, tell us where you're from. That's a good way to start the chat because we want you guys used to using it. And then they got these cool little reaction things that you can do. Let people know that you like what they say or you love what they say and so forth. So it's your call. And what's cool is they're intimate. We don't have tons and tons of people because this is those that are interested in joining in and being part of our calls. That makes it really intimate because you can ask questions, you can raise your hand, we'll bring you on the call, but we'd love you to engage. It makes it a lot better call. You'll get more value out of it and you give us energy. So let's do this. So welcome aboard, Mickey.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm gonna let
I'm
Sasha
delighted to
intro
be here.
you officially though.
Oh, you're fine. And I'm loving that this idea of like people tell us
Sasha's
where
on
you're
mute
from,
or
because now we
something.
get to, can you hear me?
Oh, I see some girlfriends, Debbie Moore and Dina
Actually, maybe
Humphreys.
it's
Hey,
me.
y'all.
Can I do something?
Yeah. And I love you got some Georgia in the house, so we'll get the pom-poms going. Anytime we see the reaction of the little party thing, that's the ta-da, we're gonna make Mickey do the pom-pom, okay? So like if
Got it.
now you gotta do the pom-pom, Mickey. You gotta watch out for those
Now
ta-das.
is it
Someone just
working?
did it. Ponte Vedra, I lived in Jack's Beach for a while, Debbie. So cool to see that you're here. And I love Ponte Vedra. It's a great spot. So without further ado, and like keep letting us know where you're from. We're so happy to have you here. Don't just react to stuff. Ask us questions. We also like promoting people and embarrassing you. Just kidding. But have you join us as a panelist too. If we hit on a topic and you're like, gosh, I've got some other wisdom I'd love to share. That's one of the things I love most about Momentum Builder is it's a community and we know it takes a village. And so, yes, this is a dialogue with Mickey and Dawn, but it's also with you guys too. So please interact as much as you feel compelled. With that, I am so honored to have Mickey here. Mickey, I feel like I want to tell the story of how we met, but I don't know if we want that on camera. Okay, I'll tell the story. So Mickey and I met at a Lenders One conference, but it was the day before the conference and we didn't know that we were both there. And we happened to both be at the spa. And I don't know about all of you, but if you've ever been to a spa, some spas allow you to have the choice to be clothed or in certain areas not to be clothed. Luckily, don't worry, Mickey and I were both clothed. Not everyone was. But the next day at the conference, we both were like, you look familiar. How do I know you? And then we realized
Was that your robe?
We were sitting in the sauna together, so thankfully clothed. Not that I think we would have gotten over it regardless, but a funny way to meet people. It's like you just never know where you're going to find people in this lovely world of mortgage. So anyway,
Always be connecting, even in the spa.
Even in the spa. So that's how we met. She's been a dear friend ever since. Fantastic sales leader for Highland Mortgage. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your invite, and it's great to see you. And Donna, it's nice to meet you.
You as well. Good to have you aboard. Thanks, Sasha, for bringing a new rock star to our community.
Yeah, we're trying to grow the community more and more every day. So if you've got people that you think should be on here, let us know that too. For Mickey, my goodness, this one, I'm not surprised. She prepared about 1,000 topics. We'll never probably get to all of it. And we're going to have too much fun with bulldog references and pom-pom cheerleading, but I'm excited to dive in. There's some really cool topics where we'll focus really on things for you as an LO, but there might be regional and branch managers on too. And so at a high level, we're going to dive into some culture stuff first, and then we'll go into things to help you in this market as you're really focused on continuing to build out your business, keep your head in the game, get your mindset right, and just keep winning, right? Because that's all we can do right now. So at a high level to start, Mickey, talk to us about what you personally and your leadership team have put in place this year from a culture perspective, since we know culture matters so much, that have really made a difference in supporting your LOs so that they can feel like, again, they can keep their head in the game and be successful in this hard market.
Absolutely. So let me just give you a little backstory. The company I work for, Highland Mortgage, was formed in 2020 in the midst of a pandemic. The leadership team had all been together over 20 plus years at other locations, but decided to go all in and open their own company. They did everything anyway, from origination to servicing. So they created their own IMB. I joined them almost 2 years ago as their VP of National Sales. But this is after, the pandemic. So everyone's remote, right? We haven't had the luxury of, those water cooler talks or sitting around with your, salad and lunch in the break room. So we really focused this year, as we've grown our sales force over the last 2 years, on creating some winning culture. And it's more important than ever, because I think people are really struggling for leadership. And, there's been a lot of discussion out there about people who are leaders kind of going MIA and really not pouring into their LOs. And if you're not a leader who is pouring into your team, you won't be a leader for long, right? And so we focused, along with a couple other people that work with me, Adrian Holmes and Brian Lovell, we sort of head up the sales team at Highland. And so we decided to create some regular content that was going to be always on a certain day every month, and really it's purely voluntary, but it lets you know we're there and we're here to help you grow. So a couple of things we did is we created Highland University, and we launched it about 2 months ago. And so we have some regular scheduled calls. For example, every Tuesday at 9:30, we do a group coaching call, and we, have some tactics, accountability, people sharing their wins, and it's free. People don't have to pay for it. That's what you get from the leadership. And another thing, today we just wrapped up our product spotlight for the month, and we had one of our non-QM lenders, Deep Haven, come in and go over their product base again. So we're refreshed on what all they can do. So product spotlight once a month. And we also do another call called Iron Sharpens Iron. I was able to say it without getting tongue-tied that time, but it's really where we go around and we talk about, what's working for you. If anybody has something that is, and this is all salespeople gathering via Zoom, via Teams, and sharing. And, that collaboration has been so key to making us feel like, we're on the same team. And then the other thing that we do is every day from Monday through Thursday, we have an 8:30 purely voluntary call. We call it Loan Committee. I think that sounds a little scary. We might need to rebrand it, but it's themes. For example, on Monday, we have a IT and technology and marketing directors are on the call. Tuesday is all sales. Wednesday is compliance and capital markets, and Thursday's underwriting and operations and closing. And Friday is reserved for, just anything. But you always have the CEO, the COO, and the president of the company on the call. So when we talk about transparency, and by the way, one of our co-founders, Mark Milan, is president of the company. He still originates about 80 million a year in a bad year. So, I love the fact that we've got somebody on the call who sits in the same seat, feels the same pain, and is going through the same struggle. So that's been, and today we just had our Women's Power Hour. We have a 30-minute once a month Women's Power Hour. That's why I had my pom-poms out. And so anyway, that's been a little bit about how we've developed a culture for a new organization when, we haven't had a sales rally yet. We do a lot of online content, and also too, whenever somebody joins our company, we just really pour into them with a lot of support.
I love that. You got some ta-das, so you have to do the pom-pom. Sorry, I'm gonna have to remind you.
I'm just gonna hold
when
them.
they pop up. I'll just make a little note. Gosh, that was like such a download of a wealth of knowledge. And again, whether you're an LO or whether you are in a leadership role, such great feedback on things to consider to add value, because it does take a village, and we need to not only have I love the refresher on products. I'm sure, Dawn, you guys hear that, but I haven't heard that from other folks. And I think that's a really great one. And then I like the idea of the tactics and the wins and the accountability, and having a place where you can do it all. It's give me the down and dirty things I should be doing that are working for others that maybe I'm not trying. Hold me accountable when I said I was going to make these calls and I didn't, or I said I was going to go to these showings and I didn't, call me to the carpet. And then celebrate the wins. I don't feel like we celebrate wins enough. I think we are really hard on ourselves, and I think LOs in particular are. And so I think it's really important that we do that. Dawn, what do you guys do that's similar or different?
Well, actually, I took some notes, and kudos to you, Mickey, because Sasa and I talk about this a lot with a lot of our leaders, because a lot of the leaders actually, we have challenges too, because everybody looks to us as leaders. We're regional managers for multiple branches, and a Western regional manager. So we appreciate the idea that they look to us to help guide them and motivate them and help them. And it's challenging. It's nice that you guys, one, I love that you're proactive. It's really easy to be reactive, meaning, hey, we're here to help when you need it. Well, I'm sorry, it's a challenging market. When they're slammed and they're busy 2020 through 2022, how much did you have to help other than making sure you had capacity? Now they need help in motivation, inspiration, ideas, strategies, and so forth. And I love that you guys are proactive at that. I love that your team is in the trenches, like Gino and I, we're still in the trenches. It makes a difference because we know the plight of the loan officer right now. We know their challenges, their frustrations, the challenge with conversion and competition and so forth. We understand it. And like you, we've done the same thing, or we have weekly meetings now. We used to do them once a month, but our team actually now asks for them weekly. So 3 out of 4 weeks, we'll do sales meetings where all the team members come together on one call and we share new news, strategies, tips, changes, challenge, whatever it is. And then everybody shares their strategies of what's working, their wins, how they got the tough deals through, what they're doing now. And it's a great collaboration because now we have all, 30 loan officers on a call. They're all sharing and helping each other. And that way you don't feel like you're trying to do it all on your own, which is why we created Momentum Builder. Is you don't have to do it on your own. If you collaborate with other great people, you'll get a lot of help. So I love that you guys you're proactive, you're transparent, and you're in the trenches and helping others. Great job. Really good.
Well, thanks. Well, I wanted to share with you, my background started on the wholesale side and then correspondent. And then in 2013, I went into secondary for a little bit. And then I got into retail in 2015. And since then have been, in the production side. But about 5 years ago, I got really busy with growing teams and I stopped originating. And I just renewed my license about 2 weeks ago. So I'm back in the trenches as well. In fact, I have 2 loan apps already. So
you're like, what did I ask for?
Right. Welcome back to the
Exactly.
dark side.
Right.
But you know what? And one of them is just a sweet little precious first home home buyer, USDA. Probably has to get some other stuff together, but I just love sharing. I love helping people with getting in a home. And I remember the first home, we've actually built our first home. I didn't even know what earnest money was and closing cost. And we forget it's a whole nother vernacular and language. But and also what we're doing for people as far as helping them get that house and build generational wealth. So yeah, I'm back in the trenches with you guys too. So it's been very eye-opening for me. And now I have my own plan of action. Listen, I'm not going to go out there and try to be number one. But I'm doing it so I can stay engaged and know our technology inside and out and better help my team. So, but yeah, excited.
I love that. When you are thinking about not just getting back into it yourself, but what you hear your other loan officers say week in, week out, what from a mindset standpoint comes up? Like, what do you hear them say? What do you think they need? And what do you find yourself doing from a coaching perspective to support them?
I think the mindset is probably the hardest thing right now. And I mentioned to you, we have, daily calls, and Mark Mullen, our co-founder, said something the other day. We were showing some market data and he says, look, don't forget, this is another cycle that we're going through, right? We've survived it. We've done this before. Those of us my age, we've lived through the collapse and rebuilt, right? And we know we come in cycles. Remember that to stay focused on the long game. And do what we know we do, build that strong foundation. Focus on your business right now. It is slow, right? What can you do right now when it's a little bit slow to gain momentum? Because, I don't know about you, but when I'm slow, when I'm slow, I let that stinking thinking get started. And that's not good. So get busy. How can you get busy? I mean, it can be just prospecting. Get a couple of hours each week and prospect, use some tools. There's great tools out there. There's MMI, there's some other ones out there, but get in and start prospecting. Make sure right now your database is clean. We get a little lazy with our database. I'm a sticky pad notepad. I finally leveled up and got a Remarkable, still don't know how to use it. But I'm trying to convert everything into yeah, exactly.
I'm like paper. Terrible. I'm
Yeah,
killing
exactly.
trees right and left, guys. I'm sorry.
We'll convert
Yeah,
you, Sasha.
exactly. So, now is a great time to get all that data in the right spots, because we will see rates drop, hopefully, maybe September, but we'll see some rate drops. And now is the time to, even as you're going through that database and getting it all cleaned up. And I'll tell you what, we're doing it. We're moving to a new CRM in another month. And so we've gone through, building out everything. So we've really been encouraging our loan officers. Now's the time. We're going to be transitioning to a new CRM. Get it cleaned up now. It'll be an easier process, but it also gives you a time as you're looking at your past customer database. If you're missing some database, go into and put in the new contact information. What is their rate? And then maybe even do some, annual reviews and annual checkups with them, because what we're seeing right now are people are carrying enormous credit card debt. And I can tell you, there are loan officers each week on my team who tell me, I helped somebody, they had a $50,000 worth of credit card debt. They had a home equity line that, when they took it, it was at prime, and now it's prime plus whatever. And even though they were sitting on a 3% interest rate, that blended rate, it makes more sense to go ahead and pay it off and pay off all that credit card debt. So, we see an uptick in cash out refis. But as far as mindset is going, I just think right now, stay focused and, don't get stagnant, keep moving. And I wrote down a couple of sayings to myself. Are you all in? I'm all in right now. I'm staying focused. I like to write things down. I said, sticky pads, notepads, write it down and then go back and see, we're in July now, we're more than halfway through the year. So where are you stacking with your goals? Are you going to hit your goals? And if not, what's your game plan and your plan of action to get you there? And also to surround yourself with people who lift you up higher. I think that's an Oprah Winfrey quote. And I think about that. I saw another one the other day. It said, surround yourself with people who make you feel like sunshine. We all have our down days. So do you have somebody that you can call that can pour into your bucket, and fill you up? You need those people, those champions. And I'm a big music person. I can rock out some music in here. If I needed to get on a couple hours of getting my dials in and my calls in. And the other thing too is when you have a bad day, be like Taylor Swift and shake it off.
Oh yeah, get it, girl.
You had to use a Taylor Swift, like we don't get enough of her. But she's like one of the most successful people in the world right now. So
I know.
She's
It's
doing
about
something
building a
better to
brand.
follow.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Right. We've got a question in here, and it's like one of the $1 million questions I hear all the time.
Right.
I don't know if we're gonna have a great answer for you, Dina, but either Don or Mickey, what do you think the best database management system is that you could transfer?
I got the answer.
As
I
an
know
one
LO?
you
exactly the
use.
answer. Yes.
The one you
Whatever
use.
you're going to use. I mean,
Well,
But
and
it has
the
to be
thing is,
simple. It does have to be simple.
listen, I worked off the spreadsheets for years, right? So anything that you're going to use, be consistent with and implement. Most LOs don't even use their CRM. And that's why a lot of companies will set it up to where it at least is integrated with their LOS. So at the point of time or their point of sale. So it comes in and then it can integrate with their LOS and you can track it through, it'll get reminders like your appraisal's been ordered or your loan has been submitted, it's been conditionally approved, it's clear to close, whatnot. So we do it to where at least you're going to get the basic 6 messages. And then there's the post-closing campaign. And then also on the front end, there's the leads management piece of it. So, I mean, there's some things that most CRMs have. It's not bells and whistles, but it'll be things that at least is set it and forget it, right? But then if you really want to become an expert at it, then you can go into all the other features and functionalities. Maybe it has the ability to do, more business intelligence and look at your whole database and your whole pipeline. That might be a little bit pricier option, but remember, it's data in and data integrity is the most important thing. So having a good, strong database is like your best foundation that you can build.
Yeah, I love that. And, you mentioned something earlier, which I want to circle back to and tie it into this. There are people that are carrying revolving debt, and we know, credit card and even other debt can be very, very high interest compared to a mortgage. And yes, rates are high, but when you look at the overall what you're paying out, it can make sense to do the cash out right now. Whether it's that or whether it's, people that you did your mortgage with them and the rates will go down and there will be a time for a refi. What are you guys doing to help coach your LOs on making sure they're staying fresh and in front of the relationships that they've already harvested and built so that you get that repeat business?
Well, there are things that you could do, as I said, having that mortgage checkup. And I just recently attended Sales Mastermind Summit out in California. No, I'm sorry, in Vegas. And one of the coaches there, I know you guys probably know Tim Brahim. And Tim says, I just put everybody's contact information into my phone. And he goes, and I will make a couple of calls a day and I, be genuinely curious. How are you doing? How's, sister, how are your kids doing? Is little Johnny still on the football team? And really just be curious and interested, and then let the conversation flow from there, because you've already created a relationship with them. You've already helped them with the largest financial decision of their life. And if you want them to remember you, being in contact with them on a regular basis is important, but also, have a conversation, not expecting anything out of it. Just really have, a conversation with them and stay in touch with them. And then you can do other little things like, cards, if you want to get into a gifting campaign. And I think first and foremost is, most people forget, by the way, I think it's after 18 months who they did business with. I'm guilty of that. I've moved a couple of times in the last 4 years. And I was looking for a closing disclosure the other day for something for taxes. And I had to call my realtor to get the name of the closing attorney. So don't think that everybody remembers everything about their transaction. And so, you do want to be top of mind. And how do you do that? There's some other things you can do is, I call it living a referral-based life. You are building a referral-based business, but, be that person that they think of as the great connector, that you're connecting them with a good insurance agent and maybe a great financial planner. When you help somebody get in their first home, they're going to need might need lawn maintenance or a bud sprayer or, whatever, an interior decorator. Have those people that you can refer to them. I read a book a few years ago called Strength Finders. Have y'all ever heard of it? And Strength Finders, at the end, you take a poll, you take an assessment, you come up with your top strengths. And my top strength is woo, which is connector. So I live by that
others
too.
over, which I found out because I'm also one, and I literally thought it meant spiritual woo, and I'm also a spiritual person. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then they're like, no, it means win others over. I was like, oh, kidding.
Oh, well, cool. See, I didn't just learn that.
Yeah.
But I kind of think about that. So those are all some tactics.
Yeah, I love those. And, I got to be honest, as on the consumer side myself, like I've never heard from the loan officer that closed our mortgage on our home. And when I thought about a refi, Dawn and Gino are who I went to have the conversation. And it was because, to your point, they were front and center and they were building a relationship with me and leaning in and caring about my life and where I was headed and where we were headed as a family. And I think, yeah, you don't want to, maybe we shouldn't talk about stealing people's business, but, be building relationships no matter what, not just with your current customers, but also whoever you run into, to your point, not just because you can do what I just said, which is be in front of somebody that the loan officer didn't pay attention to me. And by the way, it was a very large IMB, so they should have been, but also because you have these other connections that you can say, hey, first time home buyer, is there anything I can help you with once you are in the home? Are you looking for an interior designer? Do you need landscaping? Do you need, a plumber to come over? We know that there was a concession on it, but, you took it anyways, whatever it might be. And I love that. That's such a beautiful, holistic approach to building that relationship.
I used to have a pin and I was going to wear it today and I forgot to put it on.
Oh, I love that pin.
I know you do. It's sparkly and it says business is great. And it's rhinestone and it's big. And I used to wear it when I was in wholesale in Atlanta. And I remember one time I was standing in a Starbucks and this woman goes, what kind of business are you in? I said, mortgage. Do you know anybody you might want to buy a home in the next 30 to 45 days? and I got a lead, and I went to my next broker appointment and gave it to her. And I'm like, geez, sometimes it's as simple as telling people what you do. And so that kind of leads into maybe about your personal branding. And I didn't have social media when I first got into the mortgage world, in 2000. So it's been 24 years. And so how did you market yourself back then? And LinkedIn was just sort of a new thing. I don't even know, maybe that was in late 2009. But now, oh my gosh, I would be, yelling it from the rooftop. I do mortgages. Who do you know? How can I help you? Of course, you don't want that to be your message 24/7, because just like with anything, if you're running commercials 24/7, you're going to turn the channel. So be genuine and show things about your own personal life, your grandchildren, like my little picture back there, my little granddaughter. But I think, share what you do and tell people what you do and ask for referrals. And you never know when someone's going to have a brother or sister or cousin and might need help.
Yeah. Okay.
Love
I'm
it.
sorry. You're getting lots of hearts, but I'm going to make you do the pom pom. Thank you.
Mickey, I love that. Look, hopefully you guys are noticing Mickey's overall demeanor, meaning it's a positive one. She chooses to be positive and think forward. Like we've all gone through, and you have your head in the sand if you're not thinking that this has been a challenging market over the last few years. But I've been in this industry 37 years. So I've seen a few cycles, and I love that you push a couple things, and a lot of my team members are on this call. I want a thumbs up if I always push activity cures all. If you're doing activities, then you will create business. Look at that. No thumbs up. Come on, guys.
What?
You're
Come
probably
on.
just not. There we go. Come on. Activities are huge. And then I press because it's not as easy as we want it to be. It's challenging. Conversion's tough. We're working hard. I know my team's working really hard. They're working on 10 deals to close 1 or 2. It's
Right.
just the way the market, especially Los Angeles, really tough market out here because of affordability and competition and so forth. One of the most challenging markets, I feel. And they're out there grinding. But I do know that if it's actually an opportunity. We're pushing harder than anyone in our current market to gain market share. And I know my team's going to laugh, and there'll be giggles, because that's one of my favorite words is market share, because it's the only thing we can control right now. We can't control interest rates, and we can't control house sales and activity. What we can control is how much market share we get. So right now, while our competition's got their head in the sand, waiting for rates to go down and market to get easier, we're basically out there stealing your referral partners. I won't say stealing, we're earning them.
Right.
Because we're the only ones out there doing lunch and learns and adding value and walking the walk side by side with them to help them grow their business, because they're hurting too. Your referral partners and real estate agents are struggling more than we are, because there's just not enough activity out there since rates are so high. So in the meantime, go grab the market share. So when it turns, you absolutely kill it. You will crush your competitors. You'll be ready to go, and you'll double, triple, quadruple your income literally within a 6-month period. You just got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Right. And on that note, I mean, we've seen a purge in the number of MLOs in the last 18 months. I think we're down now close to 100,000. And some of those people just, they can't make it. They've had to go find other sources of income. And I have a 29-year-old son that I brought into the business 4 years ago, and he started on the ops side, and he got licensed last year. He helps me with some business development, still keeping his license up. And I preach that to him. I'm like, don't give up, because when this turns, you're going to have a tidal wave of business. But staying out there in the community and being present. And I'll share a story. Laura Whitty, who is also one of the co-founders of Highland Mortgage, she's in Atlanta. She was the #1 female loan originator in Georgia last year, number 5 or 3 in the state. She actually increased her production last year from the year before. And the reason why, she said, I refused to fail last year. So I was looking at everything I could possibly do. And she's, back out there doing lunch and learns, credit, not credit repair, but credit, bring our credit provider out into the marketplace, ask the underwriter. I've never seen somebody, she literally has something every single night. And she also took one of our products from one of our lenders that's more into the very low to moderate or low to moderate census tracts that gave some, rate relief, and learned how to market that in such a way that, she was looking up realtors in those markets and then finding listings that qualify and would send a single property flyer to them and with a QR code. And I mean, her business just continued to grow. And then she took that and leveraged it and showed us how to do it. So that was one of the wins that she shared. But, I think about her, she's been in the business for, 30 years, 25 years, always a seasonal top producer, but you can't get stagnant. You can't stop. You've got to find a new edge. You have to pivot. And I love, every time I say pivot, I see Ross and Chandler and
friends.
Rachel.
Pivot. Pivot. Go to the couch.
Up the couch, right?
Yeah. Going up the stairs.
Pivot. And
Yeah.
so,
I love that scene.
And we don't know, it's never going to go back to the way it was in 2000, right? And I'll share a story. In 2012, I was working for a large correspondent lender and they were getting sold. And, it was just hard times. And I thought, I just need a job. I had a child at grad school and one in high school. And I just took a salary job at a community bank in secondary, and I helped them get a Ginny ticket, wrote guidelines, ran the scenario desk, helped with training and recruiting. And I think about that. That was a slingshot for me, though. After 2 years of that, and then that's when I got back into retail. I mean, it was a step back, and it was a step back in income and title. But I look back at that, and it's probably the smartest thing I ever did. After that, it was just like it all came together. The other thing I will say is I'm a big proponent of people getting their CMB. Whether or not you're in management, I'm a certified mortgage banker. I think Miss Sasha Stair is going to be one really soon. She's passed her written and she's getting ready for her oral exam. It didn't make me any more money, but it made me great connections and great knowledge about our industry and how to advocate for our industry. So if anybody's interested in becoming a CMB, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love
Look
that.
at you, Mickey.
I know, so much career advice too, right? And I think
Well, go ahead.
I was saying it's good though. I've been having recent conversations with people. Oh my God, thank you, Sonia.
Thanks, Sonia. Pivot. Oh, Ross was so annoying.
Oh man. I'm gonna just take a moment for that one and then I'll come back to my thought. But I saw a meme recently, not a meme, of a video, an Instagram reel, that was like, when you realize that you've become Ross Geller in your adult life, and it's like all the different sayings that he had in that show that are like, everything's fine, right? Or relative to that.
Right.
It was fantastic. I'll have to find it and share it. But I've had a lot of conversations with C-suite executives over the years around when I wanted to do that slingshot move or make a career move and make a decision. And sometimes it was take a step back or make a lateral move. And I know as an LO, if you're going to stay that path, it's not necessarily as translatable. But if you are someone on the call that has thought about, maybe I want to go do something else in the mortgage space for a while now or later, one of the greatest pieces of advice I've ever received is the more that you can do, the more value that you add, the more valuable you become.
I love that saying.
And so, yeah. And it's like, maybe
so true.
That's not what you want to do from a career pivot standpoint. But one of the things that you talked about offline, Mickey, is go become an expert in different products. Right? Go become more like a financial advisor and planner. So when you sit down and have that conversation with your customer, you're able to advise them on how they're thinking about building out wealth so that they can retire one day. And so it doesn't matter whether it's a pivot in your career or it's just a figuring out how to add more feathers to your cap. The more value that we add to ourselves, the more valuable we become. And I would love for you to talk about some of the product stuff you guys have done, because I think that's an area where when times are slow, you have an opportunity to go learn, whether it's go get your CMB or learn more about products or whatever it might be to make yourself more valuable.
Well, first off, I just think you can never stop learning. I love about our mortgage industry. It's never the same day twice. No loans are the same. You learn something all the time. And so if you are in this business, always be learning. And I mean, there's just so many look, today people are on this podcast and they're hearing hopefully some good nuggets, right? But go to your MI partners. All of them provide phenomenal content. They've changed their sales strategy over the last few years, and they want relationships now, but it's hard to get out and see people because a lot of people are not in offices, so everything's had to go digital. But they have given great content. Maybe it's time to brush up on self-employed income analysis. Fannie Mae has a new tool on that too. Go to the Fannie Mae website. There's great training on social media and Canva and Chat GPT. I've just started to use Canva, and I'm such a newbie, but I've made a couple of posts with it. So start honing your skills in other things, like the MI partners that they offer you information. But the products is where I think since I started in wholesale and then correspondent, I knew everybody's products. And I would go in. I was never the donut girl. I was bringing you knowledge, not donuts. And so I refused to ever walk in with donuts. So I came in with flyers and a presentation. And so I loved products, and that's kind of became my sweet spot. But I think about it, if you've never done a renovation loan, learn the difference between a 203K, a home style renovation, and Freddie Mac's product, and just have it ready. You don't have, you need all the tools in your toolbox. You may not use them all though, but it's a great conversation starter with agents. They always will say, can you do this? Do you have the state HFA? And, I will say this, I got every product I've ever needed and then some, so much that, we've had to create, new drop downs in our intranet. But, start looking at your DPAs, look at those niche products. As the saying goes, the riches are in the niches, right? So you never know. We had, I mentioned our co-founder, he did a loan recently. It was like a 9-unit, 10-unit building. Didn't think we had anything for it, but we had one of our non-QMs could do it. So we thought we had to say no, but we could do it. So you just never know unless you start diving in and know what you have.
Knowledge over donuts. I like that. That's a great saying. Without a doubt. I mean,
or
we have to
knowledge
add
with
value now.
donuts. I mean, don't discriminate.
Well, don't, yeah. Well, now, but you know what I'm saying? I wasn't the flyer girl. I
Yes,
wasn't.
I know what
girl.
you mean.
I'm your 411, not your 911 too. I'm your information girl.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, I like also you put in, I saw some of your notes too, Mickey, you talk about, everybody talks about social media and the importance of it, but there's also the importance of doing it right. Because a lot of it can be just noise and you don't want to scare away the people that would want to do business. So it was nice going to the Forward event I just went to that Neil Dangra put on. And one of the things you put in there is experience.com and leveraging that, because one of the things that Rory Vaden, who's a rock star when it comes to building your brand, he talks about the importance of utilizing your testimonials, because that's the best way to build trust, because others are you're not telling how great you are. Your clients are telling everybody basically how good you are and sharing those. So he said that utilizing your testimonials and leveraging it, and my team's hopefully on there. I hope they're doing it. They're seeing me push them. Like I see the reviews, I push them out to them. I'm like, hey, this is a great one to start leveraging, because the client raised about it, or the agent raised about it, because agents actually get on experience.com and give you a raving review. So it's really important that you leverage your testimonials and also be authentic. Just be real. So many people are trying to be somebody they're not, where you just be real and people will gravitate to you. And those are the people you want to do business with anyways. I see Sasha shaking,
like
nodding her head.
100%, because you're gonna interact with people in person. You're going to interact with people on a webinar like this, whether through chat or whether you're a panelist like us, on videos, on social media, on written social media, through emails, through text messages, like you name it. You're going to interact with people with different mediums. And if you seem like you're one person in one way and a different person in another way, like people are going to start to question. And I think now more than ever, this world is looking for raw, authentic, real, genuine, cut through the bullshit, right? Like, I think more and more you're seeing people get rid of the filters rather than use the filters, because it's like, I want to see the real you. And maybe that doesn't mean you're going to see me in the spa like Mickey did, but I do think there is a lot of truth to that authenticity, and people feel it, they connect with it. And to your point, Dawn, they gravitate towards it. It's magnetic. And then if people aren't your cup of tea or vice versa, that's okay. Don't have tea with them. Have tea with somebody else.
That's right. Well, Dawn, I wanted to mention, going back to what you said about the experience.com or your reviews. And I just recently found out that you can go to experience.com and you can grab your profile for free. And you can actually, if your company doesn't have experience.com, but you can send out your own review request. So I encourage anybody who's ever used it in the past, you can go out and get that. That's their basic feature. I found that out recently. And then creating your Google business page. Think about it. I go and Google when I'm going to buy anything, a new refrigerator or a new car. I'm going to go look at reviews, 4+ stars and above, right? You're going to see that every now and then 1 star. That's fine. That's legit. Leave it there, right? But I look at reviews. So create your Google business page. Make sure you're getting your reviews posted because, as I say, the proof is in the pudding, right? We can tell them how great we are, but it's nice to create raving fans and have them go out there and spread the good news for you.
Yeah, I love that. I can't remember who we had on, Dawn, that was like one of our social gurus, because we have so many of them, that talked about, and it might have been Kayla actually, that when people Google, to your point, I mean, everyone Googles for everything, but when they Google for like, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me buy a home, they might not even know to say loan officer. That, your social presence is also going to pop up. And that's why you want to have it consistent and strong, because the more that you're doing, the more likely you're going to be the one that shows up as like, I'm looking for a loan officer in Rapid City, South Dakota. Okay, well, be the best loan officer in Rapid City, South Dakota. So that way, when you show up on that Google search, the person's going to go to that first and then start to get to know you, and hopefully they connect and feel a level of trust and are willing to reach out. So I love both getting that page set up, but also remembering how much of your social presence is going to show up when somebody Googles you.
Right. And
Well,
I know
like
Sheila personally, and she isn't as, works for a community bank and a market, and she gets a lot of her business from social media outside of her market. So it's just from
she's
the
really
fact that
good at
she's
it.
got a good presence. And I think you put it in there, your area, but you can just put in there, loan officers near me, mortgage companies near me, and it pulls up from your location and name and hours and what you do. So make sure you have all of that accurate.
Doesn't hurt that she's really cute too. I mean, she's adorable. I just saw her at Forward event. She's just a bundle of energy. Again, think about that. Who are you going to want to work with? Somebody who's like, yeah, I do loans. Please call me. Versus, I love doing loans. I'd love to help you. You're like, that's Kayla. Kayla is very energetic and
who fills you with sunshine, like you said earlier.
Right. Just like you two. I would do my loans with you.
I feel like we need a pom-pom moment. I'm just feeling it. I don't know. So, yeah.
Also on experience.com, by the way, you can raise your level. They have a whole system that raises your Google search ability. So when people look at you, you can go from like a standard person's probably could be, 62, where you can raise it as high as 600 or 800.
Is that like SEO oriented or something else? Okay.
Yeah, and it teaches you how to do certain things in your profile and how to set up your profile and how to respond to your reviews and replies. All that raises up your thing. And with experience.com is they put it all in like steps that you can do to raise your platform and be number one in your market. So it's a good way to do it, because everybody's like, I don't know how to get my name up top of Google, without paying for it. So this is a great system to do that.
Yeah, I love that.
I will say on social media too, I'm on a podcast today, but I struggle with video. I'm a writer. My degree was in journalism from University of Georgia, go Dogs. And and so I don't mind putting things out in LinkedIn or Facebook, but video I still struggle with. So I've been working on it this year a little bit. And I don't know about y'all, but when I open up a feed and all I see is somebody's content nonstop, it almost makes me ignore them though. So I think you have to have a blend of both. You don't want to overwhelm. You want to still pause it enough, but do it regular enough so it doesn't look like you've gone MIA, but also being able to provide good value and content when you do put it out there. But also you don't want it to be 24/7. Like I said, you don't want a nonstop commercial running on your feed.
Oversaturated is like such a turn off, right?
Totally. And I like the adding your personality has to be in there somewhere, because that's where people know, like, and trust you. And I've struggled with it because I'm, stay professional, I went over it, but I know Sasha's been seeing it, but I've been posting a lot of personal stuff, my journey through training for this big motocross race that I'm doing in November. And I'm getting way more traction and attention with those posts than I ever did anything about mortgage, without a doubt. It's, it doesn't hurt when you post that you're in a hospital after a big motocross crash. People pay attention to that, but it got a lot of views, man. I think it's 156 comments already just on that.
By the way, you
where
look like it never happened, which is like
I know 2 weeks ago.
literally.
I know. And I went riding yesterday.
Oh my
Everybody's
God.
like, how did that happen?
To like talk about refuse to fail. If ever there was
Right?
another example of that.
I'm glad to see
Well, I'm
you're
going to start
okay.
doing parables from
Yeah, there you go.
the struggles and challenges of a race,
Yeah.
motocross, and training to mortgage, and work and,
I mean,
and
which one do you get beat
perseverance.
up more from? I don't know.
I know that's a tough call, actually.
That's great.
Oh God.
There's no
The
doubt.
other thing I was going to mention really quick that I've seen people do, and if you ever see me at a conference, if you're out and about, I will do it for you, is if you're not comfortable with video, have someone do one with you. Like have them interview you at a conference or do something together that's fun. And it doesn't have to be about mortgage, but just to get yourself started. I think Robin at PRMG actually helped Dan from Box and Bestow do one when we were at Total Expert. And he was so nervous. He's not on the call, but hopefully he listens to this later. But he did so well. And it just like, sometimes you just need someone to help you like get over that initial hump of like, this is not what I naturally do. And if someone's sitting there holding the camera and asking you a couple questions and you're just answering, it can be a little easier than you having to like sit there and go, I don't know what I need to say on this, right? So don't be scared to ask
Seth,
for
I did
help.
that. I've done two recently. One was with Steve Richmond. I guess maybe almost a year ago. He said, come over here. We're going to do this. And he held it up and I got behind him and he asked, and it was fine because I was with my buddy Steve. And then another was Tony Thompson this past year at National Advocacy. And of course, there had been a couple of wines involved prior to that. So it was really easy. I don't know if that's the theory. Have a glass of wine and then do your video. Maybe that'll be my strategy.
There you go.
But yeah, getting better at it.
Yeah. You got to start. You're not going to get good at it if you don't start. And it doesn't have to be your main form of communication, but I do think it's good to at least give it a shot. And like I said, ask for help if you need it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we're coming up
we're
on
getting
time. Any
closer
questions?
to
Go ahead, Don.
Deanna, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
if anybody has questions for Mickey
Yeah.
or Sasha or me, please throw out the questions and so forth, because now's the time. And I'm going to share this just for kicks. This is me a week ago, by the way.
While you're sharing that, I did put the Instagram reel in the chat. So copy and paste it and text it to yourself and then open it up. It's hilarious.
That was me 2 weeks ago.
Poor Dawn.
Wow. You are a
Yeah, on
lucky
a back
man.
brace in a hospital, making sure I didn't break my back or neck.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You got
motocross can be unkind.
Yeah, you got lucky, but I'm pretty sure, sadly, most people at mortgage feel the way you look in that picture.
Yeah, that was me in the trenches last week trying to get loans. It's tough out there.
It's tough. Willing to do whatever it takes. Eat dirt. It's fine. Oh, yes, play it, please. This is great.
Dude, are you okay?
Totally. When I actually die, some people are gonna get seriously haunted.
I'm mentally unstable.
Why? Why me? That sandwich was the only good thing going on in my life. Someone ate the only good thing going on in my life.
My life is an embarrassment. I should just go live under somebody's stairs.
Knock that door down.
Would, but I bruise like a peach. I'm fine.
There you go.
I'm fine.
The
Thanks,
last part
Sasha.
of it is the best. He goes like, I don't know why my voice is going up because I'm totally fine. Oh, God.
How much
So-
do you weigh, Ross? I prefer not to answer that right now. I'm still carrying a little holiday weight. Why do bad things happen to good people?
Man, can't anything go right in my life?
It's good. I mean, like,
I could just watch
You
that
gotta
for the
laugh
next
at it.
hour.
you gotta laugh at it. I mean, like my mom always joked that like there's no drama in life like real life, right? Like I think that's obviously where these people get their material for sitcoms is just real life, because this is the crap that we deal with. And adulting is hard, and this industry can have its challenges and down cycles, but you know, we're all in it, we all feel it, and maybe not all of us get as beat up as Dawn, but well, at least we have each other to joke and laugh about the pearls and perils.
No doubt. Well, Mickey, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, becoming part of our Momentum Builder community, because it's great professionals and real people like you that make our community amazing, helping each other, sharing. I mean, you didn't have to take, I mean, it was really nice. Sasha and I both saw, and this is a lesson for all of you. If you're going to do something, do it right and be prepared. And Mickey was nice. I mean, she gave us a whole laundry list of here's the things that I can talk about and share with your community versus, oh, just wing it. I don't care. Instead, she was prepared. And you should be too. If you have an opportunity with a buyer, with an agent, whatever, be prepared. Be prepared. Yeah, right? You're getting some love.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And stay connected, Mickey,
Awesome.
and all of you. I'd love you guys to be connected. I know she's going to show it. Here's our next shows. We got Kai McBride. If you don't know Kai, he's been in the mortgage industry for a long time as one of the top coaches, top producers. He's a descendant of Tim Brahim, who took everything that Tim knows and put it into place. And now he's a performance coach. Always will get great value pieces because he helps some of the top producers and leaders in the industry. And then we're going to talk with, Brian. How do you say his last name?
Just you, I think.
You. Okay, just don't want to hack that. With FinLocker, one of the best tools out there. Some great stuff. And then we'd love you to be part of our community. So there you go. Download our app. Mickey probably didn't even know we have an app. We have a Momentum
I did
Builder
see that. I did
app.
see.
Yep.
And by the way, we just downloaded FinLocker. We have our own app now, Ready, Set, Home. So good shout out.
There you go. Very cool. So yeah, download the app because it keeps you involved, connected, and plus there's a lot of great resources and tools on there. You can click buttons on tools and resources and coaching and all that because that's what we want to be is your number one resource. And then join our Facebook page. There you go, our Facebook group. Look at that. She even has a QR code.
Wow.
Sonia's awesome. She makes us look good.
He's the best.
So, and join our LinkedIn, our Instagram. That way we can all help each other. And if it's just enough to post, Geller, quotes and watch, watch him, and I could just watch him for the next, hour, and it'll make me laugh and make my day a little bit easier. So thank you everyone for being part of our call. Thank you, Mickey, for joining us. Sasha, thank you for hosting. Love you. You're awesome. You're a great part and our chief momentum builder for a reason. She's making us all get better and stronger. And that's what this call is all about. So thank you all for being on the call. And hopefully we'll see you next week and get involved with our community so we can all help each other.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks everyone.
Mickey.
Great call.